What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video. If you're new here, my name is Theo, and this channel is all about everyday carry and gear reviews. Today I'll be taking a look at a very unique flashlight called the Surefire Stiletto, which came out about a year ago, so it's not exactly new. I actually remember Surefire showing it at SHOT Show 2018 and thinking to myself, cool concept, but nah, just not for me. Well, I finally ended up pulling the trigger because the shop I work at over the summer had a few come in. The premise of the stiletto is based upon it being a quick reaction tactical light, and this is predicated almost entirely upon the unique shape of the body. The body and the way you grip the flashlight mimics a dagger. There are two prime advantages to this form factor, which I'll cover right now. First off, the bodily ergonomics of this design are phenomenal. Ironically enough, I actually watched another review where they called the stiletto an ergonomic fail, and I couldn't disagree more. Because of the way the body tapers from the head to the tail here, you'll note that it forms a very easy natural grip in your hand, like so. This natural grip is then further facilitated by these two notches at the end of the tail. So interestingly, on another note, this other review was saying that the plastic was slippery. I can kind of agree with that, but I do also want to point out that not only is there jimping on both sides, as you can see here, and I'll zoom in so you guys can get a better look. So yeah, very nice jimping on the sides, but I also want to point out that because plastic is a poor conductor of heat relative to metal, it's actually much better for gripping in inclement weather. Okay, so the second main advantage of this form factor is how incredibly quick it is to deploy and turn on the flashlight. For comparison's sake, let's say we have a traditional clip flashlight. After unclipping the light from your pants pocket, you generally need to turn the light in your hand before pressing the button. This extra range of motion leaves you more prone to losing your grip, and it also takes time if you're unpracticed. The stiletto effectively eliminates this extra range of motion and any chance of losing your grip by means of both its bezel-up carry and tapered design. Sure, there are many other lights out there that offer bezel-up carry, but they're also much more difficult to deploy because of their shape. On the topic of bezel-up carry, this is all thanks to the really nice clip here, which I'll zoom in so you guys can take a better look. The clip's retention is solid, the lip is just right, as you can see here, for most pants pockets, and it just carries well in general. Merits of the dagger design aside, the stiletto has dual switches. There's one at the tail end, as you can see here, and there's another on the side of the body. The tail end is high only, while the side switch controls low, medium, and high. I've got to give credit where it's due, so props to Surefire for their implementation of the tail switch. The tail switch will always come on in some iteration of high, which is exactly what you want because this is a tactical flashlight. The rubber button itself is also stiff enough that it's pretty much impossible to activate it accidentally, even with the bezel-up carry. There is some flexibility with the stiletto, and you can program the flashlight using the dedicated programming button right over here. The downside here is that you can only choose between 2 mode groups for each of the switches, which gives you a total of 4 groups. All 4 of these mode groups have been well thought out, but seriously, if there's a whole button dedicated to programming, it definitely would have been nice to see more options. On a side note, the programming switch is also how you activate the medium strobe, which you get by holding down the button for several seconds. Okay, so let's talk about performance. Surefire doesn't disclose what LEDs they put in their lights, but this one looks like a Cree. The tint is pure white, and the color temperature is somewhere around 5500 Kelvin to maybe 6000 Kelvin. The stiletto is also using their proprietary max vision reflector, which basically translates to a very wide, even hotspot. This is distinctly different from the crappy beam a cheap zoomy flashlight will give you, and it's great for short distance work and the close quarters encounters this flashlight was designed for. There are 3 outputs that go 5 lumens, 250 lumens, and 650 lumens. I just want to add that the low 5 lumen output is probably understated. If it is actually 5 lumens, it is deceptively bright despite the broad beam pattern. That's not such a bad thing though, and I find myself getting a lot of utility out of the low 5 lumen output. But as usual, they still managed to screw something up. I'm talking about the middle 250 lumen output, which leaves a lot to be desired. You'll notice that the jump from 250 lumens to 650 lumens, while it is perceptible, it comes at the expense of a lot of runtime. Furthermore, 250 lumens is way too bright for most short or even medium range tasks. So if I was picking specs, I think I'd probably cut the middle output in half. Now, because my reviews are all about real-world use, I did take this guy out with me on a trip to Lassen National Park. While I was there, I actually got to use the stiletto in a pitch-black cave. And what I basically concluded was that because of how wide the cave was, the low output was pretty useless, and I mostly relied on medium, which actually turned out to be a bit overkill, like I was saying earlier. Over the course of about half an hour, the light did warm up considerably at the head, but it never got too hot to hold. And you can see that they've got the little hot surface warning as well. So while at the national park, we also checked out a bunch of natural lakes, so I threw the stiletto in one for a couple minutes and it came out just fine. The stiletto uses an integrated USB port here, which is covered by a rubber plug. It is rated to IPX7, so minor water immersion shouldn't be an issue. With that said, I would definitely not trust the integrity of the rubber plug nearly as much as it would a good O-ring. You'll also note that the port here is also tragically USB-A, so it's always disappointing to see how few manufacturers have yet to adopt USB-C for future proofing. Another niggle I have with this flashlight is the overall build material. It's made pretty much entirely out of plastic, as you can tell here. And while this does cut down on the weight considerably, this just looks like cost cutting to me. I'm going to posit that this is the same exact plastic that is used on Surefire's Sidekick keychain flashlight. The build quality is definitely still there, but the plastic build suggests to me that the stiletto is not built to last a lifetime, like some of Surefire's other lights. Anytime you have a non-user replaceable battery, it's important to understand that you're implicitly purchasing something that is disposable. While this might be fine for keychain flashlights, some will be turned off considering the price of this light. That said, it does have Surefire's usual lifetime guarantee, so they'll probably replace the battery for you if you ever need to send it back. Coming back to the price, the stiletto currently MSRPs for $110. As such, it's a bit hard for me to recommend the stiletto given the drawbacks I've outlined thus far. If you can grab one for around $70 to $80, which I did, I think it's a lot more of a compelling option. Surefire has rested on their military contracts for a long time, which has definitely evened the playing field, and there's many great lights out there that trump the stiletto performance-wise. However, I'm also inclined to say that there are very few, if any, flashlights that share the stiletto's unique bodily design. It's refreshing to see Surefire come out with a unique design that is also surprisingly practical. As I see it though, this is not a good EDC flashlight for most consumers. It has a niche appeal, and it is best suited to those who want a purpose-driven tactical flashlight first. I don't foresee myself using it much in the long run, but I also don't think I'll sell it anytime soon just because it's such a cool little light. I'm going to wrap this up here, so thumbs up if you found this review helpful and subscribe if you want more videos like this one. As always, thanks for watching and peace out.